Okay, so I ended up with a texture on this object that looks pretty good on one side, but if I rotate it, it looks terrible on the ends. Now, there are different ways I could have dealt with this, but I chose this way because I wanted to show a particular technique for adding a texture to just certain faces. And I wanted to go through the whole process again. So I'm going to have to reinvent this texture, the same texture, but I have to reinvent it because it's going to have different UV repeat rules. So this gives us a chance to go through it all again. I know, exciting, right? So I'm just going to minimize this for a second. This is my object, and here is a end cap. I'm not going to bother about the top. Like I say, I would put a concrete slab across the top so it'll look more like a wall. But this face, I can choose right click and choose. Oh, that's middle click. Sorry, I'm moving it. Right click and choose faces, and then just choose this one face. So I've got one face selected. Right click, assign new material. We've done all this before. Arnold, standard surface. Now in my um, Hypershader combination renderer, I should see a new material. Here it is. Now it may be someplace else. It may be positioned kind of in between all these things. You have to figure out which is your old material and which is your new material. The old material has all these plugins. The new material has no plugins, just an output. So this is my new material. I can zoom in here, and we're going to change all the same things, except we'll do the UV um, um, repeat differently. Yeah. So with this selected, I'll come back up here to base, get my checkerboard on color, file. I got a new little thing here, little guy. Um, Here's my image name, the folder, images, stone wall, and this should be my color, JPEG. And sure enough, there it is. But you can see maybe that it is stretched top to bottom, right? Because this one on the side is too tall, two boxes tall, and this one's only one box tall, right? The width is one box width, and that's fine. But anyway, we're going to keep going. We're not going to fix that yet. We're going to add, I'll just click the material again. We can roll up the base. Specular. Here I want not the color, but the roughness checkerboard. File. File folder. Images. Stone wall. And what was this? Roughness, right? JPEG. Now this is black and white, so we'll say open. And I can do it here, right? I need to make sure that alpha is luminance. So again, metal and roughness are similar. Both are black and white maps, and all black and white maps need to have alpha as luminance, meaning that any transparency will be interpreted as brightness. Okay, metal, that makes perfect sense, right? Some alpha makes it even brighter. That's where the hot spot is on the specular, that dot of brightness. I can zoom out just a little bit. Here, I want to turn off the filter. And I think that's all I do here. Let's add one more thing to this material, and that is, we can roll up specular. That is, I click on I click here, geometry. On the material, the geometry, I want bump mapping this time. I click the checkerboard, file. Here is the bump value, and that is the box with an arrow. I click that. There's my image name folder. I go to images, stone wall, And what am I looking for? Yeah, the normal GL. This is not black and white, so when I open it, I need to make sure that alpha luminance is luminance is unchecked. And I have a couple other things here, like to get rid of the filter. I want this to be color space to be raw, and I found that was under utility raw. And then one last thing, I want to look up here while I make this change here. I think it's in the original. Nope, here. It's yeah, here it is. So in the final module, this use as bump, I'm going to look up to the, I'm going to look up here while I make this change, tangent space normals. There we go. So there is my texture with the roughness, the normals, and the image. And if I click and Alt drag here, there we go. I can rotate it, and you can see these kind of shinier areas here on the stone. That's the normals operating correctly. I've used the roughness map, so I think that the roughness. But if I don't like that, oh yeah, let's fix one more thing here. This is one square of UV covering 2 vertical squares, right? So let's change all of those. Here's the image itself, the UV repeat. It should be X1 and Y2. That's on the normals. Here's the roughness, X1, Y2. And I'm not sure I hit return there. Yeah, it looks like I did. There's 2. And here at the top, X1 and Y2. And that's not so stretched, yeah? So now the sides look good. The front looks good. I call this the front. These are the sides. Well, actually, this is one side. But what about the other side? Okay, you're like, do I have to create another material again, Mark? No. Now we can go back into our Maya view. This is still face view. I can tell because it's blue. Assign existing material. Standard surface 2. There it is. So I created somehow I got the whole thing here. There we go. I just undid that. So the ends look good. Yeah, the side looks good. I needed just one face. Here we go. There we go. I've just got that one face. Assign existing material, surface 2. So now the front looks good. I'll go back to object mode. The front looks good. The sides both look good. It's the same material on the ends, the sides. So there are other ways I could do that. See, the issue here is that I have one face and I stretched it way out. And so then the texture was stretched out. And I have a face on the side and I stretched it just a bit up and down. And the texture was stretched there. And it was compressed on the other side, side to side. So I just created 2 materials that are identical, except that the way the UVs repeat. And I could have added more faces to this side. But the thing is, if I'm making this, if this has hundreds of faces, if I'm making the wall less linear, more bendy, maybe this makes better sense. I have just 2 images. That's a small hit on the when the game loads. I want to check something about one of my materials. Both of them actually. Let's just check something. I don't have to do it here though. I can go back into my. Oops. I can go back into my. Yeah. This material should have This is the, you can zoom in if you don't remember. This is the normal. The stuff at the bottom is go into the normal. And I just want to make sure that I have alpha's luminous is unchecked here. That's correct. But there's something I think I might be missing here. There's a color space rule that I want to ignore. This is my end space, and I just see if it makes a difference here. I can't see a difference, so I'm not gonna ignore any rules. Okay, that's it. So you've done it twice now. That should be that should hold you for a bit.